What is going on, guys? I'm going to be presenting my government presentation about regulatory laws, agencies, and the Constitution. To start with the 10th Amendment, the 10th Amendment states that any powers not given to the federal government nor withheld from the states are reserved for the states or the people. This limits the power of the federal government and also reinforces the principle of federalism with a balance between national and state authority. For examples like states control school education and local law enforcement. Expressed powers. Powers that the Constitution gives to the federal government, also known as enumerated powers. So these powers specifically listed in the Constitution for the federal government. For example, like levy taxes, regulate trade, declare war, coin money, and all of this is found mainly in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Express powers show exactly what Congress and the federal government can do. There's no guessing or stretching of interpretation really needed. Implied powers. Powers of the federal government that are not listed in the Constitution but are needed to carry out its enumerated or expressed powers. So basically, implied powers help the government stay flexible. The founders knew they couldn't predict everything the country would need in the future. So this allows government to adapt to new needs, like regulating the internet or air travel. Another example being Congress creating the Air Force, even though it's not listed. The Supremacy Clause. This clause makes sure the U.S. functions as one nation under a single legal system, even though states have their own powers. This is found in the Constitution as well. It states that the Constitution and federal laws are the supreme law of the land. If a state law conflicts with a federal law, the federal law wins. It keeps the states from passing laws that contradict national policy. Elastic Clause. Expanding congressional power, otherwise known as the Necessary and Proper Clause. It allows Congress to expand its authority beyond what is explicitly listed in the Constitution. It gives flexibility to solve problems and create laws that the founders couldn't have predicted back in the 1700s. For example, creating national banks, the IRS, or environmental agencies. How are regulatory laws made? Agencies turn Congress's big ideas into specific, enforceable rules for citizens and business. So Congress passes a broad statute, agencies are given what's called an intelligible principle, and they write out detailed regulations to carry out Congress's intent. For example, Congress passes a clean air law. The EPA sets emission limits. How are they enforced? Agencies work like mini executive branches. They don't just write rules, but they also make sure people follow them. For an example, OSHA enforces workplace safety regulations. Agencies enforce laws through inspections, fines, and penalties. They make sure companies and citizens follow rules, and they must perform regulatory impact analysis ordered by the President. Slide 8. How are they adjudicated? Adjudication means to judge. Agencies handle their own cases first, but courts can review them later. Agencies can use administrative law judges to settle disputes. Decisions can be appealed to federal court, and overall they ensure fairness. An example of this being a company can challenge an EPA fine through agency hearings. Regulatory agencies and separations of powers. Do agencies fit the separation of powers? Agencies are efficient, but challenge the pure separation of powers. They work best when properly supervised by Congress and the courts. This blurs the separation of powers because agencies combine legislative, executive, and judicial functions. Oversight exists through all three branches. Congress creates and funds agencies. President appoints leaders. Courts review agency actions. And as you can see, that is the three branches of the government. Thank you.